Arrest warrants are expected to be issued any day now, tied to that hazing death of Southern University student Caleb Wilson. Now, our sources are telling us that hazing charges are definitely on the table, but investigators are looking to see if the hazing death charge is even enough.
Chief Investigator Chris Nakamoto joins us now with more on what he's learned from sources. Chris.
Well, good evening, Liz and Greg. We're told at least 3 individuals who were present that night are facing charges and possibly more. Our sources say those charges being considered range from hazing and could go all the way up to manslaughter. It's been a week since Southern University student Caleb Wilson died in what has quickly morphed from a death investigation to a full-blown hazing investigation, as detectives get to the bottom of who knew what and when.
This vigil is meant to honor the memory of Caleb Wilson.
Candlelight vigils at Southern University. And remembrances in Kenner, where Caleb grew up, mark the somber feeling here and across the state.
I just want to thank you all, the Human Jukebox. This is Caleb's life.
The WAFBI team first to report this week the story that was initially told to investigators about where Caleb collapsed was an extraordinary lie. That story included pledges going to this Breck Park when Wilson fell unresponsive. Instead, we learned it was all fabricated. Wilson collapsed inside this warehouse off of Greenwell Springs Road after 9 pledges were in a line taking blows to the chest, according to our sources. East Baton Rouge Parish District Attorney Hiller Moore says the charges being considered could be felonies.
You start with the basic hazing statute, which starts off as a misdemeanor. It's actually now the Max Groover statute, but it then increases to hazing where a death is involved, carries much more time, or bodily injury is involved. And there's also the civil component for corporations or that organizations that knew and didn't fully report to the police immediately. So we're looking at those things at this point.
Adding a layer of complexity here is a nuance in charging language. A hazing death is not considered a homicide, even though the death is caused by another person. That explains why Baton Rouge police have continued to call this a death investigation.
We do not have a complete autopsy report, and so there's been no determination that the death was a homicide. When we talk about homicide in law enforcement terms, we're talking about what's called uniform crime reports. And when you ask at the end of the year how many homicides did we have, that doesn't include manslaughter and negligent homicide. It actually includes murder, second-degree murder.
As the investigation plays out, his family tells the I-Team grieving Caleb's death hasn't been easy. His body has not been released for them to even plan a funeral.
All right, Chris Nakamoto out here with us now. Chris, you've been on this all throughout this week and beyond. What about that warehouse? Where are we getting on that, where all of this is supposed to have taken place?
Yeah, certainly, of course, that was the great big lie. Multiple days this week, we've reached out to the landlord of that warehouse for a comment, but we have not heard back. Of course, that's the area the alleged hazing happened. It's co-rented by Baton Rouge Metro Councilman Cleve Dunn, and he told us this week he, of course, had no idea that the warehouse was being used for this. He co-rents it with businessman Todd Smith. He got Todd Smith on the phone, and Todd Smith confirmed to us that his son is an Omega and a student at Southern. And while our sources say those warrants are expected to be issued soon, it's still unclear on exactly when that might happen. Of course, this is just a sad situation all around, and our hearts go out to Caleb Wilson's family.
Yeah, so many people think about that young man. Thank you, Chris. Yes. Appreciate it.